Hello everyone, this is Crota giving you game 1 in a series between Acer's Nerchio and Empire's Show. I believe that's how you say his name. I'll just try to refer to them as Zerg and Protoss throughout the rest of the matchup. I think some of you guys out there actually like it a little bit more, as you guys are able to follow the action and not have to remember that Nerchio is the blue Zerg player on the bottom left-hand side of the map. Meanwhile, Empire Show is the red Protoss on the top right. So ZVP here on Daybreak, gonna be a very, very good matchup already getting underway, as we should most likely see a very strong economic game. It really feels like players have fleshed out all of their strategies and know how to handle early aggression, know how to handle just a lot of the cheese tactics that were part of the early beta and early in Wings of Liberty while still expanding. If you guys take a look at some of my older videos, you'll see players and you'll see me talking about how a 6-minute expansion is a fast expansion. That's actually a slow expansion now, and it's really nice to see a game like StarCraft develop over time in terms of strategy and what players are trying to do. Now, we're going to see the Protoss player come in, take a look around, and what he's really looking for is the timing on the spawning pool and on the extractor. If he doesn't see a spawning pool, then he pretty much knows that it is going to be a fast hatchery. But this time around, the probe is just doing a great job constantly denying this one particular mineral patch. You can see him there, he's going there, he's mining, he hasn't taken up anything just quite yet, but he has disrupted the mining pretty well. Now coming back, the probe is going to make its way down to the low ground. He noticed that there was, I repeat, there was no gas being taken. And with that, he knows the timing on this drone, sometime around the 2-minute 40, 2-minute 50-second mark, this drone would try to grow up and be a hatchery. Now, there is that standard counterplay. It looks as though the probe did venture a little bit too far away from that hatchery there, the hatchery landing location. And now you see the probe making its rounds, and what he's now looking for is the larva count. If you take a look down over here, Nerchio was only training up some overlords. There isn't really that many larvae available to train Zerglings, so there isn't going to be this heavy aggression of Zerglings on the far side of the field. With that, it looks as though the Protoss player knows that, you know what, I don't need to really worry about this front door all that much. I'm not going to need to keep a probe down here in order to warp in double gateways. I'm in a good position, you're in a good position. Let's both agree to not do anything crazy and try to get to the late game. Or at least the mid game. We are going to see, a drone now make its way, establishing up a third base that is going to be established at the 4-minute mark. And this is the classic reaction to a Protoss doing a fast expansion. If you're going to take an early base, I'll take an early base too. I know you're not trying to do any sort of 4-gate aggression. You're not going to have that many units to punish me for economically being greedy. So I can be economically greedy as well. We are going to see double assimilators now being taken up by the Protoss player. Cybernetics core should be coming in perhaps down right here, making this the walkway of death if possible. Or is it going to, nope, it's going to be actually this position right there. So it's going to be a little bit of a zigzag in order to try to get inside. Now, level 1 weapons upgrade will be started fairly quickly, as many Protoss players know. The level 1 weapons upgrade is key in dealing with early Zerglings. Now let's come back around, take a look at the Zerg base. Just where did that spawn larva come from? Alright, so did the queen actually make its way all the way down, do a spawn larva, and then no, the queen walked down over here and now is going to be taking care of this hatchery as a new queen's being trained. Now, I do expect Nerchio to go into 5 or perhaps even 6 queen play. 6 queen play, very common at dealing with a lot of units early on. Queens are much stronger. They have been buffed. Their range significantly larger as well in terms of their melee, or what was almost a melee attack before, a range of 3, now a range of 5, the same as a Marine. Looking to deal a lot of damage. So far, there's those injects now coming into play. And both players just feeling very confident. Now, Nerchio has a number of options at this point. Nerchio can try and run off of these 3 bases and just get up a large roach army and then try to crash in on this front door. If he's able to successfully do that, there's nothing that that the Protoss player can really do to stop it. Or Nerchio can try to play up until the 14-minute mark, have about 70 larvae, and at 70 larvae just cruise his way into a superior economic game with 200 supply. Now, it looks as though it is going to be the economic strategy, as we are going into 6, 7 drones being trained at a time. 8 drones, wow. 9 drones, continuing to add more and more, and we are also teching to tier 2. Still, no Roach Warren as of yet. So with no Roach Warren, I am curious as to what the strategy will in fact be. We could perhaps see a lot of gas being taken. That is the case right now. So we could perhaps see Mutalisk. Mutalisk are fairly effective, especially if there is no Stargate and no Twilight Council on the field. Once Stalkers gain Blink, or once you have the options for Phoenixes, Phoenixes do become a much more powerful unit. Sorry for hitting the microphone. Yeah, anyways, we'll see what's going to be going on there, as Nerchio or the Protoss and the Zerg are just sitting on their own neck of the woods, being very, very content. There is that level 1 weapons upgrade, as I mentioned. We are going into the Spire. Nerchio, the Zerg player, is going to have about, I guesstimate, somewhere around 1,000 gas, maybe, no, actually even more than 1,000 gas right now. It's going to be about 1,200 gas when that Spire is done. If he doesn't do any additional upgrades, nope, he is getting some Overseers, so let's take a look at that. Also going into an Infestation Pit, he'll probably have about 8 to 10 Mutalisks on the field ready to go. Zerglings now trying to do a little bit of minimization on the damage, as the Protoss currently blocked from taking an expansion. Overlords being able to spew creep, such a nice feature to delay your opponent economically. Always good. Even if you lose this Overlord, the delay in time as that creep is there causes problems. We now see Force Fields and Immortals. This could be a 2-base all-in, and this could potentially be a problem. Infestors are not going to be very, very useful at all. They need a lot of that, and they need a lot of energy to really do anything at all, as we now see reinforcements coming in from the top. All right, the Protoss coming in with a 2-base Sentry Immortal all in. Zerglings now trying to come in for a surround, unable to do so, minimizing that surface area. Beautifully done, but it is eating through much of the energy. Warp Prism now also in play as well, now reinforcing with even more Stalkers. Zealots now coming in, and Nerchio may not have enough to handle this. Massive Spine Crawler wall here now on the front door. This third base is pretty much already being forgotten. Nerchio, realizing that he cannot defend this location, already decides to back off, as the Zerglings may try to test that front door here. The front door, however, is completely walled off with double photon cannons, and now adding in some sentries. Here you go. There is the Spine Crawlers. Queens are now in position. This is a very, very large Spine Crawler wall, but nothing that a couple of Immortals cannot handle. The Immortals now just pushing their way in. Are they going to be able to do anything, as the Mutalisks now make their way in as well? The Mutalisks getting in some good damage onto those Immortals. The Immortals need those shields in order to absorb much of that poking damage, as the drones are going to try to engage. All right, this is an all-in versus an all-in. The Zerglings and the Mutalisks are not able to bust down that front door, so now it is all about defense, as we still see more and more Spine Crawlers trying to give up some ground. Immortals now trying to push in again. This is not looking good for the Zerg, as the Mutalisks are now engaging the far side. Are we going to get perhaps a very strong surround here? Drones and Queens unable to engage. Overseer is overhead, and is the Mutalisk going to be able to do enough? Let's take a look at the Mutalisk. A very strong Mutalisk count. Exactly what you need in order to counter all of these Immortals here, but there are still a fair number of Stalkers, and it looks like the Stalker count is simply too high. Warp Prism will get taken down. No more reinforcements, but it may be too little too late. Spine Crawler now poking apart, more damage. Another Immortal does get taken down. 2 hatcheries, 3 hatcheries now down to 1, as Nerchio needs to rebuild his hatchery and get back into this game. All right, what was a 1-base economic lead has now turned into a 1-base economic deficit. Harvester count 46 drones versus 52 probes. Zerg definitely behind at this stage in the game, but may be able to make a comeback if he is lucky. There are a lot of Stalkers on the field. Production tab does show double Stargates, and with double Stargates and double Phoenixes now being trained, I don't believe these Mutalisks will last very long. You can see the Mutalisks looking and hunting for where they could possibly go. This is not looking good. Zerglings, I do believe they spotted that. Yes, they did spot that pylon there, as the Mutalisks are now testing that front door. You can see damage being dealt. The Cybernetics Core, if it gets taken down, will be no more Stalkers, but it doesn't matter, as it is all going to come down to Phoenixes here in just a moment. Phoenixes are being added. He wants to reach critical mass on those Phoenixes before trying to move out. You can see more and more Phoenixes being added here. And now with Phoenixes out on the field, Zerg will be forced to retreat. All right, hatchery here is about to be completed. Hatchery here is about to be completed. This one spine crawler taking a bit of damage. Now finally back on creep, will be able to slowly regenerate more and more life. Let's see what the strategies will be. Nerchio, the Zerg, still somehow having a stronger supply count, even though, economically speaking, he is a bit behind. Phoenix is now rounding about the far side. Are they going to perhaps catch a lot of these units in transit? That is going to be the key part, as a Zealot Stalker army now finally on the move. We have 1-0 upgrades, and that is it, as the Phoenix is now going after some Overlords. It does tip his hand, but it doesn't do... but Nerchio will just be forced to get up some Spore Crawlers. I don't know if that's going to be enough to really handle all of these Phoenixes, as the Mutalisks need to try and push in and perhaps retake the economic advantage or do some sort of attack. You can see the Phoenix is now taking down that Overlord here, but Mutalisks are now coming in from the back. This could be very, very bad. Protoss now without any protection here. Photon Cannon quickly going to get taken down. Phoenix is now making their way in, and all of these Mutalisks may get taken out here. The very, very fast move and attack speed, as the Phoenixes are picking apart this massive Mutalisk ball, and this is just some fancy flying by all of those Phoenixes. You can see those Phoenixes with a range of 4, and I believe, no, unable to catch up. What are they doing? Letting those probes fall. This cannot be the case now, as all the Mutalisks will fall here, and now a reinforcing attack of gateway units pushing out across the field. Guardian Shield really preventing much of that damage, as I believe all of those units, all these Zerglings have come out over here. Mutalisk, or Phoenix, is now making their way in. What's going to be happening? A whole bunch of changelings have been dropped, acting as a wall. The Phoenix is now just going to come in, Graviton Beam some units, finish off the rest, and I believe this will be GG here, just coming in, waiting on the final verdict. And now just so many was he? Oh, he was Graviton Beaming. What was he doing? It looked like he was Graviton Beaming his own Stalkers there for a little while. All right, there you go. That is the Nerchio has left the game. So Nerchio pretty much forfeits game 1. No GG there, perhaps a little bit upset. But then again, it looked as though Protoss just played a very strong game. A very, very nice transition into double Stargate Phoenixes in order to shut down that massive Mutalisk ball. Very, very well played. Nerchio did a valiant effort in trying to get back, was able to hold off that initial Sentry Immortal all in, but unable to handle the second wave of units. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. Hope you guys enjoyed Game 1.